One of the arguments I see being misused most often in media criticism is the argument that someone or something missed a point. Like, you can see that a lot when talking about media that was inspired by other media, right? Because, for example, when people talk about anime that were inspired by K-On, this whole genre of cute girls doing cute things, they will often say that, oh, K-On wasn't just cuteness for the sake of being cute. There was a point to that, and it wasn't shallow like a lot of these shows right now are. And so all those other anime miss the point of K-On! It's an argument I hear quite a bit, right? But not really. And if you stop to think about this, you understand why. Just because something is inspired by something else, that doesn't mean that it was trying to imitate it. It doesn't mean that it was trying to accomplish the same things or do the same things necessarily. That's not what being inspired means. It means that they saw an element of the story or a story that made them want to create their own thing. And so, for example, just because pure cuteness was not the point of K-On! And there was more to it than that, that doesn't mean that something that was inspired by K-On! And that is pretty much cuteness for the sake of being cute missed the point. It just like that, like an author inspired by K-On! That did that probably liked that element of it and wanted to make something just with that element. They wanted to expand upon this element of the series that he watched, that he quite liked, and I guess expand upon it. So it's not quite a matter of it missing the points, and more often it's that they had another point. They were trying to do something else entirely. And you're the one who actually missed the point by not noticing. Or with Evangelion too. Just because someone was inspired by Evangelion doesn't mean that they wanted to make a whole complex, mind-melting, psychological journey. Maybe they were inspired by the cool robot fights and wanted to make their own story around that element that they like. Maybe they like the waifu aspect with the personalities of Rei or Asuka or Misato and wanted to further expand on that part of the show and again make their own story that was more exploring that. So no, just because someone made tsundere and she isn't literally doing that out of trauma like Asuka is, or just because someone was inspired by Evangelion and made a cool robots fighting show without the psychological horror aspect, that also doesn't mean that they necessarily missed the point. Maybe they were trying to do something completely different. In fact, that's the more likely explanation even. Of course, it's not like this point is always poorly used. A lot of people say that the sequel movies, right? The Star Wars sequel movies missed the point of the original, especially with how they handled characters. Many people say that they missed the point of Luke, and that is fair. That is a genuinely good use of that argument. And you might say, oh no, maybe by your logic they just had their own vision of Luke, their own point that they were trying to make with those movies. But no, because those were already established characters that those filmmakers were given the duty of continuing the story of. It wasn't some alternate dimension thing. It wasn't something where they actually would have the freedom to create their own thing, whatever they wanted, right? Or it's not something that they saw what the character was, they understood the character and simply wanted to take that character in a new direction with a proper story arc that actually got them there and that explored how a person can change so much and how can they go back, or if they can't go back, or what that change does to a person and the people around them. No, they just took a character, misinterpreted it completely, and completely misrepresented it on screen. So that's a good way to utilize this argument. Like I said, this argument isn't always poorly utilized. It's just often poorly utilized. Obviously, there are cases where it applies. The point is simply that a lot of the cases that people say it applies to, a lot of the works that people invoke this argument about, it doesn't apply to. They misuse this argument, this point that actually does have weight to it, but they take that weight away by misusing it. That's more or less the point I wanted to make with this video. But as always, these videos are supposed to be about starting a discussion, so please do tell me what you think, obviously. And that will be it for today. If you liked this video, then please remember to, of course, like, comment and subscribe, as this really helps me out even more than you think. If you really liked it though, then I'd also really appreciate if you could support me financially, either through a one-time paid comment donation or by joining my membership, where for $1 a month, you get to participate in exclusive polls in order to decide which videos I'll make next, as well as get access to a couple of exclusive videos and, best of all, even get your name added to this incredibly fancy list of awesome people right here. But of course, no matter how much you choose to donate, if you choose to do so at all, do know that I deeply appreciate any cent you're willing to throw my way, as well as just the fact that you're watching this video up to this point at all. But with that, I think it's about time to, as always, bid you guys farewell. Obscure Anime out!